Hi everyone, my name is Abhuraj Garakapati. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amazing Abha.
Don't just hear the story, enter it.
Steps forward while preparing for his match. Kalli watches closely, recalling Bogdu's words about Torres using a close guard technique a year ago. He wonders if Torres has changed his style or if he still relies on the same methods. He also questions how fighters here improve since there are no specialized trainers. Kalli wonders if abandoning a familiar fighting style is a gamble for his old friend. Meanwhile, Torres' opponent lands a powerful punch. In the crowd erupts in applause, but Kalli refuses to accept it. He finds it hard to believe that someone with Torres' size and skill could struggle against an opponent with poor targeting. He studies Torres closely while questioning whether he stretches his body before impact to reduce force, steps back to dodge, or twists to dissipate the shock. Then he realizes Torres is neutralizing the opponent's attacks, which is a backup plan when guarding completely fails. It is a technique similar to practical precognition, used only as a last resort. Suddenly, Torres delivers a devastating punch to his opponent's ribs, securing victory. Kalli watches in shock, recognizing movements that resemble Chinese martial arts. Despite his surprise, he finds the match entertaining. With the semi-final set, the tournament now comes down to Torres and Kalli. After his recent victory, Torres' thoughts drift to his upcoming match with our boy. He already studies the latest matches of Kalli and notices that, unlike before, when our boy relied mainly on sharpness, now he perfects his technique, stamina, and mental strength. It feels like he becomes a completely different person, someone who returns from the miracle of losing his boxing career and rising again. Torres now wonders whether he can truly defeat him. He never has the chance before because Kalli leaves too early, but now he finally gets a chance to fight the only boxer who can rival him. Defeating him means he can prove that he is the strongest boxer ever. For this purpose, he is determined to win. A few days later, after the fourth round, our dude trains with Bogdu. He already observes Torres' style and wants to experiment with it. Bogdu is a little hesitant to hit him, but when he insists, Bogdu's expression turns serious. Then he charges at Kalli. Kalli dodges and mimics Torres' style. However, he ends up with an injured face from Bogdu's fist. Now he observes Torres' fighting style again, trying to apply it to his match. He understands that he can mimic it for a while, but doing it for the whole match, while detecting the opponent's movements, dodging their attacks, and maintaining precision, is too demanding for him. He concludes that Torres gains such superior technique through 200 matches of experience, something he can't catch up to with mere training. Getting up, he decides it is useless to pursue this technique any further and gives up on it. Bogdu, however, becomes concerned about his love life as he asks how he ends up with Azelia. Kalli's embarrassed expression shows that the whole time he is only saving her from danger. Bogdu thinks for a moment. Knowing her wandering lifestyle, our boy tells Bogdu to forget about Snoren, since she is a gypsy and can't stay in one place. Bogdu declares he will follow her everywhere. He even brags about how Snoren reads his fortune and concludes that he is rigid and stubborn. Kalli thinks anyone can figure that out without fortune-telling skill. Bogdu continues proudly, assuming she must like him because she once said he can make any woman happy. Viggen arrives just in time to save Kalli from the awkward conversation about love. He informs him about a banquet invitation from the royal palace. Kalli doubts Crayon whatever in vitamin. Viggen explains that the banquet is a celebration for the tournament, since it has now reached the semifinals, so Kalli must attend. He also warns that route of falling soldiers are moving around with hostility, as if a war between them and Eldrin soldiers could break out at any moment. Then he instructs his subordinates not to go outside unnecessarily after the banquet, because he suspects route falling soldiers might try to cause trouble. Meanwhile, Root Falling is receiving a report about our boy from his subordinate. The subordinate repeats Kalli's history up until he earns the title of Ogre Slayer. However, he doesn't know much about Kalli's 2 years in the Empire after his leg injury. To uncover that period, he needs more time. Root Falling grows frustrated because he gains nothing substantial from this investigation. His mind keeps spiraling toward conflict with Eldrin. Kalli's failure in the tournament seems like the best option for him. Eliminating Eldrin is his last option while winning public opinion. He already prepares for it by bribing palace guards and readying his troops, not to mention Crayon backing him up helps him too. Now, in the royal palace banquet hall, everyone gathers to celebrate. However, the scene turns embarrassing for Torres when he declines a noble lady's offer and receives a sharp slap from her. She threatens him with her family's influence. Poor Torres knows that with his upcoming match, messing with nobles is not right for him. Having no choice, he tells her to hit him again if it satisfies her. The lady takes his words as an insult. She grabs a butter knife, ready to kill Torres, but before she can do much, Kalli steps in to rescue his friend. He charms the lady and sends her away. Then he turns to Torres and teases him about how grateful he should be. Torres teases him back. They settle in a quiet corner where they discuss their old comrades. First Nixer, who becomes thin, but still fit. Then Kalli reveals how Kicho not only gets married, but also becomes an instructor to boxers and an apprentice brewer. Torres instantly comments on how Kicho is still just an apprentice. Then he asks about his Alia. Kalli tells him about their second child and hopes it will be a girl. Torres remarks that Kalli is unfit to become a parent. At that moment, Kalli's expression softens. This is the first real conversation he has after so long. Talking to nobles feels like wearing a mask, but with Torres, he doesn't need to pretend. His thoughts are interrupted when Dorman arrives to fetch Torres, but greets Kalli out of courtesy. Torres, however, is not interested in entertaining nobles, but Dorman persistently drags him away. At that moment, an announcement is made. Crayon appears with his fiancée. He raises his glass for the champions who make it to the semi-finals. Then he dedicates half of the victory to his late father and half to his fiancée and his people. While everyone cheers for him, he doesn't feel like being there at all. Already feeling sick, his mention of semi-final celebration also makes Kalli remember that he is going to face Torres in the match. Everyone sees him as some boxing genius, but in reality, it is Torres who has carried the adjusting boxing weight on his shoulders for so long. However, he is determined to defeat his friend and become the strongest. After the banquet ends, he is seen training with his faithful subordinates. Bogdo is already tired, so he continues with Vigan. Meanwhile, Vigan truly improves as he remains determined to keep training alongside Kalli to suppress the other boxers. At the same time, the conspiracy of royals and nobles keeps unfolding behind the match. During that time, the day of the semi-finals finally arrives. At last, Torres and Kalli stand facing each other inside the ring. Meanwhile, before the match, the conspiracy to win public opinion continues. Rude Folding spends a generous amount of money to distribute bread to the audience gathering for the match. Seeing the crowd having bread, Ealdram worries because this is not something he can afford. Crayon's involvement also keeps diminishing his influence with the nobles. All he can rely on now is Kalli's victory. After that, he needs to keep their champion in the capital. He knows that if Kalli wins, his influence over the nobles, and the only thing keeping him standing against his opponent depends entirely on that victory. The only thing troubling him is Kalli's declaration not to return to his hometown until he will find Nasha. Now in the ring, Arboy assesses his opponent. He knows that unlike him, someone who comes from another world with the knowledge and technique of modern boxing, Torres grows purely through instinct. That alone makes Torres a truly formidable enemy. Still, our boy is determined to win. Torres, on the other hand, shares the same determination. Listening to Torres declaring that the Kalli is the best player, he questions his confidence in his strength. Torres confirms it because he has seen Kalli's mental fortitude, skill, and stamina throughout all of his matches. He knows Kalli is the best opponent he is going to defeat today. Seeing Torres' burning determination, Arboy is also fueled. Both of them disappear from their places and charge at each other. Torres attacks and Kalli dodges. Bogdo, watching the match keenly, understands that at the peak of their stamina, it is unlikely either of them will land a clean hit. Both boxers keep trying to strike. Suddenly, our boy's eyes catch an opening, and Torres' stomach. His eyes flash as he prepares to hit, but Torres catches his intention and defends his weak point. Kalli grits his teeth at the sight. Torres is already preparing his fist again. Kalli blocks the punch, but the force of the attack sends him stepping backward. His mind spins, trying to understand how Torres tracked his fists so precisely with just his eyes. He realizes that Torres gained this ability by observing all of his previous matches, which helped him develop this quality. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Apai grow naturally. Of active defense, Torres has already observed that he holds the upper hand over our boy. He understands from his previous matches that superior technique alone doesn't decide a boxing match. That is why he has never fallen behind anyone. Now when Kalli raises his fist against him, Torres knows he can finally win against his old rival as well. Our boy manages to land a hit at last, but he immediately realizes something is wrong. He feels no impact at all. Torres has slipped away from the blow at last moment. With dread, he understands that the counter-attack coming in response will be terrifying. He is right as a hard punch is about to slam into his stomach. But his reflexes save him, allowing him to block the attack just in time. Looking at his opponent, he finally considers the possibility of losing. He recalls every match he has fought against stronger opponents, battles that pushed him to the edge, forcing him to grow and counter their strengths in order to win. He understands that he has to apply the same strategy with Torres. Because Torres is another insurmountable wall, he must give his absolute best. He tries again to punch his opponent, but he already knows that Torres' active defense is his real enemy. With determination, he comes up with a plan to disrupt the rhythm of his opponent's defense. When Kalli suddenly stops attacking, Torres is taken aback. He immediately realizes Kalli is planning something. Torres then lands a punch to Kalli's side, and this time Kalli doesn't even bother to dodge. Ordinary technique won't work against Torres, so by taking the hit he creates an opening. He gets that opening when his fist finally lands on Torres' cheek, drawing a slight bleed. Torres' punch lands on his face at the same time. Now the match turns into a close-range barrage. Kalli grows frustrated as Torres' superior technique keeps clashing with his attack points, preventing him from landing a decisive blow. He needs to find a way to break through. Torres, on the other hand, finds his opening. He calls out to our boy, darkly. He raises his fist, and as soon as Kalli defends with his arms, Torres opens his hand, slips through Kalli's guard, and forms a fist again. In the next moment, he lands a decisive hit on Kalli's chin. The impact is brutal, and pure pain flashes across our boy's expression. Kalli suppresses the pain in the next moment and gets ready to fight again. This time, his punch lands perfectly on Torres' temple. Torres recovers from the attack, though he is blinded for a moment, giving Kalli an opening. Now Torres plans to disable our boy's fist. Kalli, on the other hand, grows frustrated as it becomes harder for him to defeat his opponent in a close-range fight. Again, both of them prepare to strike each other. Kalli understands that Torres isn't afraid of being beaten up, but is waiting for him to come in low. As expected, he finally hits Torres in the face, a blow strong enough to possibly crack his jaw. Torres falls and collapses on our boy, leaving the audience confused about what just happened. Both of them regain awareness as the referee rushes toward them. Their respective supporters in the audience shout encouragement for both fighters. Meanwhile, Kalli looks at his opponent carefully. For a moment he thinks he has lost, not to mention his ribs are broken in 3 places, and the ligaments in his left wrist are stretched. He understands that another hit to his jaw will cost him his teeth. On the other hand, Torres is also not unscathed. There is definitely a broken bone. Torres looks at Kalli's face and comments on how deadly he looks. They tease each other, but deep down Torres is occupied with the thought of always being behind our boy in every aspect of life. This time, he intends to surpass him in boxing, to protect his pride. With that resolve, he attacks again, and Kalli manages to save himself by stepping back. Kalli's next attack is an upper hook aimed directly at the chin. Confident that Torres won't dodge it, he strikes, but the next moment Torres is already there, stepping forward with his fist ready. He finally finds the opening and punches our boy in the gut, so hard that his bones break. Kalli falls away clutching his side. The referee immediately rushes to him, asking if he can stand. With trembling fingers he tries again. Torres hopes Kalli won't get up, but he does. Injured, staggering, but determined. Torres can't believe it. Kalli says he can't apologize for it. Besides, that punch was Torres' finishing blow. Torres curses his big mouth. The next moment he charges at him at full speed. Kalli tries to keep focus with his one working eye, but still the punch lands squarely on his face. He understands his body is in terrible shape and hurting like hell. There's even a chance he might die. The audience grows worried as the match turns into the worst kind of gladiatorial death match. Vegan understands that they keep pushing because they value victory more than their lives. The spectators, however, are absolutely captivated. It feels like watching primal human instinct, 2 men fighting for nothing but strength itself. Even though they gain nothing from this, even though there is no logic behind this urge. They keep going while blood splatters across the ground. Torres punches him hard again. Kalli barely stops himself from falling and gets ready once more, because for him, feeling strong feels like justice itself. He punches Torres again. Torres tries to punch back, but ends up taking another hit instead. Their fists keep colliding. Kalli grits his teeth as he suddenly realizes something. He punches Torres in the face with all his strength, sending him to the ground. Looking at his fallen comrade, Kalli finally voices what he has realized that Torres can't see. Torres, however, admits defeat, saying Kalli has always been stronger than him. He asks him not to make any excuses on his behalf. He smiles, happy that his last match is with his friend. The next moment, the announcement echoes through the arena that Kalli is the champion of the semi-final. Kalli has declared the winner, but Eldrin is not happy. He understands that Kalli is injured, even though there is a chance the public will remember him. Even if he won't win the final match, Eldrin knows he wanted Kalli victorious for his own cause, because the winner matters. Public only remembers winner every time. Rude Falling, taking advantage of the situation, comments that it's impossible for Kalli to recover before the next match. In this condition, he will either fail or die. He is quite pleased with Kalli's state. Later, after tending to his injuries, our boy complains about the meal, which contains no meat. Vegan reminds him that he had thrown up the meat. He emphasizes that he needs to focus on recovery first. In his thoughts, he realizes that both he and Torres would have struggled to survive in this condition. At that moment, he remembers his friend and admits that Torres is the best boxer. Unlike the monstrous fighters he has faced until now, Torres can be called a pure boxer, one who has reached the highest level through his own efforts. He is satisfied with his match against Torres, knowing that even in death, he wouldn't regret it. However, his thoughts drift to his wife, who would surely scold him for thinking about such things. Vegan asks him about the final match, even though the doctor advised against it. Kalli, however, doesn't care about the final match. The semi-final was worth it because Torres was the best. This time, he is determined to end the final in a single blow. 2 weeks pass after the semi-final. Next month, the final of the tournament will take place. Until then, Crayon decides to hold a banquet every day, leading up to the final. However, Crayon makes a fatal mistake. After one banquet, he burns with rage and jealousy because instead of him as king, everyone sings Kalli's praises. In the peak of his madness, he kills his fiancée on her bed. A week after the incident, the news reaches our boy while he is resting. Vegan adds that every noble already knows about the murder. The king calls it an accident, but there are clear hand marks on her neck. Kalli immediately feels remorse for such a death, even though the victim comes from an enemy family. He asks about Count Joseph. He replies that he fainted from shock because it was the murder of his youngest daughter after all. Kalli wonders whether the tournament will continue, but the incident has already been orchestrated as an accident. Besides, Crayon will likely continue the tournament to give the public something to distract them from the murder. Kalli wants to see Snoren as a bad feeling lingers from the incident. Vegan has promised to look for her. Frustrated by the situation, he decides to get some fresh air. As soon as he steps outside, he regrets it because it feels like his bones might fall apart. Before we move ahead, please take a second to share on this video. Sharing helps this video reach friends who may also enjoy anime, gaming, travel, cricket, chess, career basics, or personal stories. Your support helps Amazing Apai grow naturally. From overexertion, his attention is suddenly caught by a voice calling Crayon a tyrant for his latest crime against his sister. The person is none other than Warren Joseph. He even highlights the hand marks on her neck. Kalli senses the irony in the words. Like Crayon, he had tried to assault Azalea, and now he feels the pain when the same thing happens to his own sister. Warren keeps provoking the audience, constantly reminding them of Crayon's crime. The next moment, the royal guards arrive and warn him to stop babbling profanities against the royal family. He is even threatened with death. Meanwhile, Crayon's sympathizer is also there, claiming that his sister dies after falling from a railing. Then he even reminds Warren of his own offense against women in the past. With that, a large crowd turns against Warren. When the soldier is arresting him, Warren's eyes spot Kalli in the crowd. With a collision of shame, he bows his head. Kalli, on the other hand, remembers his threat against Warren. He assesses the situation because now the soldiers are rude, and the instigators are on the move. Despite this, there are people who clearly distrust Crayon. Even though Ruta tries to suppress it, the wear and incident spreads the rumor about the king instantly. Despite everything, the month has passed and now it is finally the time for the final match. Meanwhile, people in the audience come not only to see the final, but also to see Crayon's face. There are murmurs about him murdering his fiancée. Not to mention that the tournament is held in the first place to celebrate the marriage. They are right to say that Crayon is quite insane. After hearing the people's accusations, he assumes that distributing bread can erase the blame and earn praise. When it does not work, he accuses the bread distribution manager of theft and declares that he will behead him. Seeing this madness, Ruta is frustrated by his king's madness. The next moment, Crayon decides to display a prisoner execution with the fiercest beast. His subordinate assures him that the lion is the most vicious among its kind. From behind the bars, our boy understands that there will be madness during a public execution of prisoners. Suddenly his eyes widen as he recognizes one of the prisoners who is none other than Snoren. Snoren is caught when she disguises herself as a maid to track Nasha inside the palace. Now she is held as a prisoner and is about to be executed. She predicts her future and sees a skull. This is the sign that she will meet her death. She accepts her fate with tears because she knows this is her punishment for involving herself in the secular world instead of wandering like her destiny intends. The lion roars ready for his feast. The prisoners run, terrified out of their minds. Meanwhile, Snoren stays frozen, accepting her fate. She closes her eyes, but before the lion can reach her, the wind shifts in front of her. When she opens her eyes, she sees Bogdu standing in front of her in a protective stance. Everyone in the audience cannot believe that Bogdu shields someone. Crayon is also curious about the situation. His subordinate informs him that Bogdu must have recognized one of the prisoners and rushed there to help her. Crayon in his cruelty does not care if all of them become lion food. Bogdu himself is worried because he has jumped in front of Snoren purely on instinct. Now he does not understand how to handle the situation or how to face the lion barehanded. He is shivering, but when the lion attacks, he still steps aside to dodge it. Even then, he ends up getting clawed, bleeding furiously. He realizes with dread that he cannot win. However, he is still determined to save the one he is interested in saving. The next moment he shouts and steps aside again, dodging the lion's claws. Then he punches the lion's face so hard that one of its eyes is injured. But now his hand is inside its mouth and the lion tries to crush it. Before it can snap his wrist apart, Bogdu manages to pull his hand free. Snoren is worried too. Bogdu, with both hands bleeding, understands that he cannot face such a vicious beast with his bare hands alone. Meanwhile, our guy is worried for both of his allies. He understands that Snoren must have been investigating about Nasha, which means she is in this situation because of him. He understands that she will be killed by the lion. With that, he decides to help them. Everyone in the audience is baffled to see Kalli opening the bars even though the match has not started yet. Crayon looks up at our boy, furious because it is supposed to be the time for execution. Meanwhile, Ruta is secretly happy about the situation because if Kalli dies, his worries will vanish. Eldrin, however, is worried about him. At that moment, a soldier arrives with a message from Kalli. He whispers in Eldrin's ear that Kalli has found Nasha, but he wants Eldrin to take responsibility for whatever happens afterward. Eldrin immediately understands that in exchange for revealing information about Nasha, Kalli is asking for protection. That is why Kalli needs to stay alive and free. Kalli addresses the audience and declares that they are going to witness something never seen before in history, referring to his upcoming battle against the lion. Everyone cheers for him. Kalli's expression is solemn as he grips his weapon. He knows that the execution itself is the true problem. Killing the lion will not be enough. The next moment, everyone is petrified as they see him break his own weapon. It means he is going to face the lion barehanded. Snoren immediately checks her fortune again. This time she sees the sun, which is a clear sign that she is going to live. She cannot believe how her fate changes from death to life within mere moments. She stands frozen, unable to comprehend what has just happened. Fate is not something that can be altered by the random actions of another person, but Kalli has so much power that he not only changes his own fate, he changes hers as well. She knows at that moment that this itself is a miracle. Our boy is truly a warrior. He is destined to die at an early age. Yet even after being revived, Kalli keeps facing death at every step of his life. and every time he changes his fate by surviving. Still he burns with determination as he faces the lion. He declares loudly that he will shatter all of the lion's teeth. Bogdu is meanwhile worried that Kalli is endangering his life because of him. Snoren asks him to stay still as she tries to stop his bleeding. Bogdu keeps worrying about Kalli, knowing he can't take on the lion in this condition. She tightens the bandage on his arm while consoling him, sighing they are destined to live today. The lion stalks toward our boy. Kalli, however, knows his health is in terrible shape. As per the doctor's recommendation, he should take at least a 6-month to 1-year break from fighting, thanks to his last match against Taurus. But now he stands here, facing the most vicious beast on the planet. Knowing the condition of his internal organs, he realizes his ribs can be shattered by a single blow. He knows all of this, yet he is still ready to fight the lion. He steps back to dodge the lion's claws. The beast circles him and then leaps. Kalli is already on his guard. He aims his punch at the lion's snout and nose. The lion is injured. The next moment it opens its mouth wide, ready to attack him with all 4 paws. Observing its attack, Kalli knows he cannot dodge it even if he steps back. Then he takes a risk so extreme that the audience questions his sanity. He rushes straight toward the lion's head and charges at it. The next moment, he is behind the beast, clutching its mane. The lion roars furiously, but Kalli persistently keeps his grip. The lion thrashes violently, the blows taking a brutal toll on his ribs. Kalli desperately wants it to stop, so he punches the lion's head so hard that it bleeds. Everyone is in shock at the sight. The lion tries to throw him off, but he tightens his grip on its mane. There is a crack in his bones and Kalli himself is severely injured. Finally, the lion manages to push him back. The audience grows anxious for their warrior. Determined, Kalli grabs the lion's tail. He forces himself to stand and pulls the beast, managing to control it somehow. Encouraged by this strange victory, he climbs onto the lion. He keeps going, elbowing the beast repeatedly. The lion thrashes again, making Kalli lose his grip for a moment, but he regains his balance and falls onto the lion's back. Gripping its mane, he collapses in a way that makes it look like he is already dead. Kriana's quite pleased at the thought that Kalli might be dead, but the next moment, everyone sees the lion stumble. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Pi grow naturally. Then a loud roar echoes through the arena. Our boy is alive, gripping the lion with all his strength. The beast shrieks in pure pain. Meanwhile, Vagan also learns about the latest update. Regarding his master, his expression turns into pure nerves as he realizes his master is facing the lion. Meanwhile, the said lion is finally defeated. Everyone wears a shocked expression, but they are also worried about Kalli, who is buried beneath the lion's body. Our boy finally crawls out and raises his fist. It is a sign that a human has killed a lion with his bare hands. At this historical moment, even the execution can be damned by the audience. He immediately asks about Nash's current whereabouts. Snoren informs him that she is staying directly in the king's quarters, which is why no one has found her. Until now, he solemnly instructs both of them to take refuge under Eldrin. He tells them to mention his name to the guards, and they will help them. Snoren feels grateful to him. When she expresses her gratitude to Bogdu as well, his face brightens. Then they are pushed back by the guards, along with the other prisoners. Creon meanwhile is furious at the outcome of the execution. Kalli looks at his expression and instantly understands that he must be demanding Kalli's execution again. Not giving him a chance to act, Kalli makes his move. He demands that the final match start immediately. Both nobles are shocked to hear this declaration. He orders the guards to bring his opponent. The guards hesitate, unsure what to do. After the execution, the finale is supposed to begin, but there has been no execution at all. Another guard worries about our boy's health condition and whether he can continue like this. Creon, however, is livid and furiously demands that Kalli be killed. He even orders Rudefeling to execute him with his forces. Rudefeling now knows he cannot simply kill Kalli here. Championship title aside, there will be a massive public uproar if they attempt something like this. Leaving no choice, he makes an excuse on Creon's behalf, saying that Creon is tired and needs rest. The guards drag him to his quarter despite his protests. The next moment, the bar is lifted from the other side and Hector, the other finalist, steps out. This finalist is no longer confident about the match. Before facing our boy, He was certain of his victory, but now, after seeing Kalli defeat a lion with his bare hands, he doesn't want to continue the fight. Still, public pressure forces him to stay. Kalli challenges him to start the match anyway before he collapses from exhaustion. He is also relieved that Kridon is nowhere in the audience, so all he has to do is stay standing in the arena. At that moment, Hector thinks about his strategy. He already senses that Kalli's bones are damaged and that he is utterly exhausted, so all Hector needs to do is defeat him without getting too close. As the match begins, he spends his time dodging Kalli's slow punches. Kalli, on the other hand, easily senses his opponent's strategy. He understands that Hector didn't reach the finals by pure luck. He needs to finish this quickly before he falls from exhaustion. Hector, at that moment, shows respect to Kalli as a fellow boxer. He admits that Kalli would have definitely been the champion if he hadn't foolishly fought a lion. Kalli darkly reminds him that it's his decision, whether it's foolish or not. Angered, Hector rushes forward and lands a punch on his face. Seeing Kalli still standing, Hector doubts the power of his own punch. Then he reassures himself and punches Kalli's jaw again, making him spit blood. Hector declares that this is the end. He strikes him again, assuming Kalli has lost consciousness. Now certain of his victory, he steps back. But the next moment, even unconscious, our boy stops himself from falling and punches Hector back with full force. Hector is completely baffled by what just happened. In reality, years of fighting dangerous opponents, humans and beasts alike, have pushed Kalli's body into a boxer's autopilot. His body knows how to move even when his mind shuts down. The punch hits so hard that Hector coughs blood and collapses. Kalli remembers his match with Iskandar when something similar happened before. The next moment, the announcement echoes through the arena that Kalli is the tournament champion. Kalli falls to his knees. All of his previous life flashes through his mind. With that, a smile curves on his lips. He has finally made it this far. Now the match is over. The health team is taking Kalli away on a stretcher. Vegan immediately rushes to him. Concerned for his master, he reminds him not to lose consciousness. Understanding that there is no time for comfort or condolences, Kalli tells him to deliver a token engraved with an eagle and a letter he left behind. He orders Vagan to take these items to the Imperial Embassy. Vegan hesitates at first, then understands the seriousness of the situation and sprints toward his horse. While riding, he wonders whether Kalli is preparing for something. Whatever it is, he prays for his master to hold on. Inside the king's palace, Kriyan is furious about today's events. He vents his rage on the furniture. Finally exhausted, he sits down. His thoughts drift toward madness as he realizes that despite being king, he cannot control a single man in his own kingdom. He declares that his loyal soldiers obey him, yet he instantly remembers that those troops actually belong to Eldrin. Not to mention that now even Rude Foling is no longer listening to him. As he spirals further into frustration, Nasha quietly observes him. She is pleased with her handiwork as she has pushed him so far into rage that he even killed his own fiancée. Ever since that incident, he has been losing his mind more and more. With a charming smile, she approaches him and pretends to inquire about his troubles. He desperately explains his situation, admitting that even though he is king, Rude Foling no longer considers him one. She consoles him, insisting that neither Eldrin nor Rude Foling can take his authority away. He keeps shivering, unconvinced. His hatred toward Kalli burns him from the inside. She consoles him again, this time hinting sweetly that she can arrange Kalli's death. After all, the capital is destined to become a battlefield between two powerful nobles soon. The death of one noble in the middle of all that chaos will hardly be surprising. Nasha adds that she knows some mercenaries who can assassinate Kalli. Kriyan doesn't believe she can do it. She insists that he go to Rude Foling and manipulate him by threatening to support Eldrin. This will make the old man desperate, and he will do anything. Then Kriyan can demand that Eldrin be removed. She darkly states that once that happens, she will finish Kalli. Hearing this, Kriyan finally calms down, believing Nasha is the only one who can stand by him. In reality, Nasha, who is dying soon, has no real backup plan. She doesn't care about the result at all. 2 days later, our boy finally wakes up. The doctor asks him to rest, but he is concerned about Bogdu and Snoren. The doctor informs him that they are under Eldrin's protection. When he is asked to meet them, he declines for their safety. Then he has served a meal. He can sense the terrible condition of his own health. The next moment Eldrin enters the room as soon as he hears that Kalli has woken up. Eldrin knows this is not the right time, but he still asks about Nashia's location. When he is informed that she is under Krian's protection, he feels dizzy with disbelief. Kalli insists that they will find her soon. Eldrin is also thinking about Krian's plan to ally with Rudafalling, something that should be impossible considering how stupid Krian is. He wonders whether Nashia is behind it. Then he turns to Kalli and warns him to stay away from Krian as the closing ceremony approaches. He even suggests that Kalli return to his hometown quietly because after what happened during the match, the political tide has shifted in his favor. Once the closing ceremony is over, Rudafalling will be expelled. Kalli understands that Eldrin is trying to send him away before his daughter is found, so he firmly states that he won't return without completing his business. There is also a real chance of civil war before Rudafalling's elimination. Eldrin points out that Rudafalling won't dare attempt anything right now. Kalli reminds him that his daughter can pull strings to make anything possible. Eldrin, however, doesn't believe it. Kalli gives him a harsh reality check about Nashia. She contaminated her mother's keepsake. Even if she can present herself as a victim, in reality, she has committed countless crimes. Kalli declares that Nashia doesn't care about the future of the kingdom, because she herself is dying. It's better to kill such an unstable person. Eldrin firmly tells him to do as he wishes if he finds Nashia first. Otherwise, he will handle the matter himself. He decides to confine his daughter after the closing ceremony. Meanwhile, Kalli doesn't believe Eldrin will take action against his own daughter, so he decides he will take care of her himself. After a while, the closing ceremony is underway. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Amazing Apai. Subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next video, and it gives me motivation to keep improving the quality of every upload. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.